record. All right, we are back. We are recording. So I just finished talking about tap outs. I'm not sure exactly where the recording cut out, but I'm just going to explain again. This dog is relaxed. He's upside down. I would argue that dogs don't like belly rubs as much as we like giving belly rubs. There's nothing about him that's saying, please approach me. He's just playing with his toy upside down. The dog on the right is saying, please stop. Her mouth is closed. She's turning away. She is turned upside down to try to stop interaction. And that is called a tap out. That's what people do in wrestling. When they give up, they'll tap the mat 2 times and say, please, I give up. You can stop whatever hold you've got on me. And dogs do the same thing. It's just a lot of times we don't read it. So when you see this, instruct people not to rub dogs when they're saying no. So ears are kind of tough. There's so much context around ears. I'm just going to give you a little bit, but in general, you've got to take it in account with the rest of the dog. So this is my dog Theodore. He has had his ears cropped, so they can go from all the way back to all the way forward. He's got really expressive ears. On the top left, he is out on a boat ride. He is relaxed. His mouth is open. His eyes are squinty. His ears are back. But if you just saw the ears, it wouldn't be enough to tell you how this dog is feeling. On the right, he is begging for food from me. He's got wrinkles. His mouth is closed. His eyes are round but soft. My little Puerto Rican street dog, her ears are a little bit harder to read because when she's worried and they're all the way back, it doesn't look very different from when she's alert and their ears are all the way forward. With dogs with floppy ears, you're just going to look at the base of the ear and what they are doing. So I've done a lot of introductions of pit bulls from dog fighting busts on leash, just having them meet one another. And I can't see their eyes, I can't see their mouth really well. I can see their tail, but wagging tail doesn't always mean friendly. But I can see their ears pretty well. And a lot of times right before a dog pops into play, the ears will go from alert and interested or worried and back, but they'll sort of pop sideways a little bit. So when the ears are back and sideways a little bit, it's often a flirtatious thing. You saw that with Theodore when he was flirting with Stella in that first video. So I want you to watch these 2 dogs' ears. There's a lot going on with the rest of their body language. One dog is very relaxed, one dog is very fearful, and both dogs have their ears back. So again, you got to look at what the rest of the dog is doing. So let me play the video and you can type in the chat box what you're seeing. So this is Theodore and this is Buddy. So the ears are popping back and forward a little bit with both of these dogs as things are happening in the background. But you can see that Theodore was quite relaxed. He's actually the helper dog. I brought him to the shelter to help Buddy, who had never made a dog friend. And they said, please bring Theo. We got to find a friend for this dog to help him out. But he's not having any of it, is he? He's not falling for Theodore's charms like Stella did. He's worried about the noise. He's worried about being outside. He had to be carried. He doesn't know how to walk on a leash. We did find him some friends, and he felt a lot better by the time we were done with him. But Theodore was not the right friend. He was just a little bit too big for him. So here's the ears back and rotated in this video. These 2 dogs are both from dog fighting busts. One has natural ears and one has cropped ears, but you'll see both of them at certain points put their ears back and sort of rotate them to the side. That's that flirty look that I like to see when dogs are playing with me or with other dogs. And this is some slow motion video, so you can see a lot of other stuff going on. I could play this video 20 times and point out different things. I won't do that to you, but take slow motion video and look at it because you'll learn a lot. Just watch the ears. So they're playing really nicely. These guys are a good pair. Dino's got great ears. Look at how far back they are. They almost touch when he's enjoying play. And Theodore's also got his ears back and kind of rotated to the side. So Jean Donaldson calls those sexy ears. And these guys are just having a great time. So the other things, you notice I'm still talking about the bitey end of the dog. There's a lot going on up here, a lot of subtle things we need to watch for. So another thing you can look for is how long the lip is. So all three of these dogs are showing what's called a long lip. This is often a dog who's fearful or worried. So it goes all the way to under their eyes on a dog with a normal shaped face like this. You can see all of the wrinkles of facial tension. This is my friend's dog Bliss at the vet. She's shaking her paw like a good girl, but you can see by her face she's really worried. Her ears are squished back. There's little facial wrinkles beside her mouth, and her lips as long as it gets. So all of these are long lips. As the dog becomes more alert, this lip is going almost to under the eyes, but she had just been panting, noticed something up ahead on the trail, and she closed her mouth. So the lip is kind of neutral here. It's not really pulled back with that grimace with the wrinkles like you saw in the last video, but she's alert. So I really pay attention to those moments when the dog has their mouth open, relaxed, and then it closes. So this is yet another one of my Dobermans. I've had 4 of them. You're going to see most of them in this presentation. So he's panting and relaxed. We're just having a picnic. He's tied to the picnic table. And suddenly he stopped panting and alerted. And so I'm going to pay attention. He's a sweet dog. He's not going to aggress towards anybody, but he noticed something. So somebody had pulled up in the parking lot and got out of the car, and he's just closing his mouth and taking a good look to see what's up. So as the lip becomes shorter, you'll start seeing the whisker beds pop out, and the whiskers will often pan forward as the dog is becoming more aggressive. So both of these dogs are thinking about biting what's in front of them. You can see how short the lip is. It's not going anywhere near under the eye. This dog's lip could go all the way to under his eye, but it's short. This is my friend Maggie's dog. She's on the couch, and a dog she doesn't particularly like is approaching the couch. So you can almost hear she's probably growling in that picture. Her lips are forward, her lip is short, the whisker beds are popped out, the whiskers are popped forward, the eye is round, the ears are forward. Everything about that dog is concentrating on the dog in front of her to tell her to get away from her couch. So this is what happens right before you see teeth. So if we can change our handling and not force the dog to turn up the volume and show us the teeth, it is kinder to the dog, because you don't want to provoke them to bite you, especially in the shelter. That is not a great thing for shelter dogs. So when the lip is completely C-shaped and you start seeing teeth, that's called an offensive pucker. So both of these dogs are considering biting what's in front of them. And we could read that. Once you see teeth, most people could read that dog is not thrilled. And these dogs are not fearful. They are thinking about putting their teeth in whatever's in front of them. So with the snarl, you'll often get this rounder, harder eye. Sometimes the pupils will be big if you can see the pupils, and look at all the dramatic wrinkles you get. But again, you need to take it in context. So I use this picture of Duncan. This is the same Doberman that you saw in the previous picture. He was actually a therapy dog. He loves everybody. But when he's playing with other dogs, he's very dramatic. So this, if you could see the video, you would see all the body language is playful, and he's making the dramatic face. You can see Theodore's back right here. They were good friends. But I use that picture in my aggression presentations because he looks so dramatic. But it's done in play. It's done in a just kidding fashion with that particular dog. So both of these dogs are showing their teeth. Both of these dogs are thinking about biting what's in front of them. But the emotion is coming from different places, and you can see that from their body language. This dog is forward, ears are forward, everything's forward about this dog. Even the whiskers are pointed forward. That's an offensive pucker, so the aggression is coming from an offensive place. This dog on the right, everything's back. He's got a long tail. I think he's a Beauceron. But the tail's tucked all the way up under his body. Everything's back about him. His body language is cowering away from the man with the catch pole. His ears are back, and his mouth is V-shaped. So the C-shaped mouth is offensive. The V-shaped mouth is coming from a place of fear. Doesn't mean he's not going to bite you. Both of these dogs will bite you, but knowing where it's coming from will help you learn how to handle them. So this dog needs to feel more comfortable, to feel more confident, to be less fearful of humans. And it's understandable why this is happening. Somebody just tied him up outside of the shelter and left. So they came out with the catch pole to get him into the shelter safely without getting anyone bitten. So it's fully understandable why he's so fearful right there. So here's two dogs with open mouths, and they're very different open mouths, aren't they? So what do you see in the dog on the left? This is again St. Duncan, my friendly Doberman. Where is he on the loose versus stiff scale? He's kind of upside down. Ears are back. He can't even keep his tongue straight in his mouth. It's so floppy. So he's probably about a 1. He's very loose. Now look at the dog on the right. What's different about him? Both of them have their mouths open, and I said I like open mouths. I like dogs who are breathing. But this is a stress pant. And what about this tells you he's stressed? Like, I would give him a much higher number on my loose versus stiff scale, right? He'd probably be an 8 or a 9. Yeah, he's got all kinds of wrinkles. This is why I love my pit bulls. Look at all the little wrinkles between his eyes. He's got that long lip with his mouth open. And Duncan has a long lip, but it's floppy. Look how floppy that lip is compared to this one. His ears are forward, his eyes are round, his pupils are big. Everything about this is actually my dog Theodore's brother. We had them genetically tested. He's from the same dog fighting bust. And he's a very different dog from Theodore. He worries about everything. I worked with him a lot more at the shelter than I worked with Theo, because Theo didn't need my help. This guy, his name is Wickham, and he's really worried. So here's Theodore and his brother. And this kind of exemplifies the difference between both of them. So this is called a spatulate tongue. It's kind of shaped like a spatula, like something you'd flip your eggs with. And it does mean there's a kind of stress. This is heat stress on the left. It's just a warm North Carolina day. That's about half a mile from where I'm sitting right now. Eyes are squinty, ears are back. He's also got almond-shaped eyes and his ears are back. But look how different the posture is in these two dogs. Look at the difference in the wrinkles. Very, very different dogs. So the spatulate tongue means a type of stress. The one on the right is physiological stress or psychological stress. He's at the vet's. And here it's physiological stress. He's just hot. He's trying to get some of the heat out of his body by making his tongue really big. So this is what the stress panting looks like. You'll see the muscles quivering, the tail is low, everything about this dog is stress, stress, stress. How fast he's panting. His whole body is in on that pant. His legs are shaking. So back in the 90s, a book came out called Calming Signals with a video that had to be on a VHS tape that you put in a big old record player. That's how long ago it was, by Turid Rugaz. And she got us all thinking about calming signals. And her hypothesis was dogs make these little gestures to try to calm themselves down, to try to calm other dogs down, to try to calm us down. These lip licks, these yawns, these little gestures that they do. And I'm forever grateful to her for getting us to look at these subtle things. I don't love the term calming signals. As a science geek, it's kind of hard to know what an animal's intention is in giving these signs. They may want to calm me down, but they may not know what's going on in my mind that they want to calm me down from. So a more scientific name is a stress signal, or a displacement signal, or a cutoff signal. And you'll see this in classes. You'll see this when people are interacting with dogs. Sometimes a dog will give this really big yawn, and you can almost hear this squeak in this yawn. This is not a dog who's bored. This is a dog who's stressed. So sometimes I'll hear people saying, "What, you're yawning? You're bored with me?" No, we need to teach people that a yawn is in general a stress signal with a dog. These lip licks, these tongue flicks. So the lip lick covers the whole nose. A tongue flick is just a little in and out. Sometimes you don't see them unless you've got it on video, or you just capture the right moment. But these are signs that the dog is stressed. Like if they've just finished a peanut butter Kong, maybe they're just getting peanut butter off their lips. But if you go in and you start interacting with the dog and that's when they start licking their nose, pay attention to that. They may be worried about you. And you can see this little guy's doing a big stress yawn for a good reason. My Doberman's being very sweet. She's making herself very small and self-handicapping nicely. She's 80 pounds and he is 3 pounds, but he's still stressed. He's never seen a dog whose head is bigger than his whole body. So here's kind of an unfair situation I put Theodore in. I have a chicken who likes to hop on the couch beside him, and you'll see him stress yawning here. So he's like, I know you want me to stay here, but I'm a little worried. There's a chicken beside me. And my little waggy dog on the left, the box on her neck is a step counter. She's not on a shock collar. She's a bit of an escape artist, so it sends me a text if she leaves my property, and it also counts how many steps she does in a day. She hasn't escaped in a long time, but she does 6 to 12 miles a day. So here's that same dog on the couch, Maggie's little orange dog. And she is doing a deliberate look away or a head turn. So again, the other dog's approaching, and she is going, I am no threat, and looking away. And you will see dogs doing this as a cutoff signal to say, this interaction is a little much for me. So here's Theodore again doing a look away with the same chicken. Can't even look at the chicken.
Theodore. That annoying chicken.
You see how deliberate that is? There's nothing over there. There's not somebody coming in the door. He's just, there's a chicken here. You want to pose me for a picture, I will deal with it, but I'm just not going to look at the chicken. That's a little too hard. Dogs will often do a paw raise as a cutoff signal or as a signal that they're no threat. Both of these are sort of, sometimes they'll do it when they're begging. Shake off is another thing that dogs will do just to dissipate stress. So if you've gone in and you've been making out with a shelter dog and petting them lots, and when you stop petting, they shake all the cooties off, they may be telling you that was a little bit too much. So here's Solange doing a little shake off after. This Doberman doesn't play with everybody. So she had a little interaction with Solange, and that was stressful. So she did a shake off. So it looks just like a dog who's gotten wet and is shaking off the water, except it's not raining there. That's a psychological stress. Sometimes dogs will sniff the ground deliberately. You will see this white dog have a little bit of a tense interaction, and then she will deliberately put her head down and sniff the ground. And that's a nice cutoff signal. And sometimes it'll make the other dog come and sniff the ground too, which is a friendly thing to do. Looking away. Click, click.
I like your mustache. Did you guys kind of see how I instantly sensitized her to me?
Yeah.
I was basically
Gone.
like
Look
one
away.
big pop, and all of a sudden, like everything.
And she's lit. So she has a little tense interaction, and then she puts her head down and sniffs the ground. And sometimes the other dog will go with her. That's a really nice thing to do. That dog used to bite other dogs when she first met them, so that's a really nice change for her. So I want you to watch the dog on the left in this video. Get your typing fingers ready. I'm trying to keep you awake by getting you to type things in the chat. And watch the all of the stress signals she shows, all the displacement signals. I want you to type what you see. So only the 2 yellow dogs are showing stress signals here. Here's my Aussie with dementia. He's out of it. The dog on the right is a new foster dog, so he's not really paying attention. But these 2 dogs know each other well. This dog's super uncomfortable with what's happening. And so it's just a little video. It's not in slow motion. Sorry, you're gonna have to type fast, but type in what you see, particularly from this dog. This one shows a few as well.
Kenya.
Yeah, that's great. You guys are seeing them all. That's really awesome. There's lots going on between those two. This guy's oblivious, right? A nice big shake off at the end. So I'll play it again for the people who see the recording, and I'll call out what I'm seeing, and I'm not going to be able to get them all because there's so many in this.
Kenya.
The lip licks over here. Lots of lip licks. I'm not sure that's a tap out. I think she's just playing. A big yawn over here, lip lick over here. More yawning. You can see all the tension in this dog. She's not thrilled with them playing that close to her. Lily's checking in, lip lick, yawn, head turn. And big shake off from Lily because she realized that was a tense interaction. So I will tell you a little bit about these dogs because all three of them are mine. The dog Kenya on the left, she's actually from the San Francisco SPCA, and she is pretty dangerous towards other dogs. She has sent this dog to the hospital. She sent the little yellow dog to the hospital. She broke the leg of my ex-husband's pit bull. She has very specific triggers. She was not likely to react. The only reason I was fostering a giant Doberman was because she never attacked a dog who was bigger than her. So she wasn't going to do anything to him. These two know better. Her triggers were things like doorbells, which was not going to happen. This happened at work. But I was keeping a close eye on her, and I think I moved her bed after that to the other side of the office. But dogs her size or smaller, she could indeed bite. And so I monitored her very carefully. She was very old there. She is much less bitey than she was when she was younger. But yeah, all of those stress signals are definitely something to pay attention to. And the reason the video ends there is because I moved her away and interrupted that interaction. She did not like those two playing so close to her. And part of that was that she was old and her leg hurt and she didn't want them to step on her. So we'll finally get into other parts of the dog. Again, this is just an overview. This is not everything about dog body language, but I think these are just some of the high points that as a shelter handler, I would like you to know. So I will look at the position of the tail. It's important to know what the normal position is of the dog's tail. So hard to tell on a first meeting, but a Whippet will have a very different tail set than a pug. So we're looking at where the base of the tail is, just the little part where it joins the body, in relation to where it is naturally. So this dog, in relation to their natural position, this is a tucked tail. It's all the way between her legs. This is a low tail. It's got a little handle, pump handle look to it. This is a neutral tail. It is in line with the dog's spine, just that little bit at the top. And there's a high tail up and over the back. So that will kind of give you an idea where the dog's mood is, whether they're fearful or whether they're excited or aroused or perhaps interested in interacting. I look at the spine, whether it's curved or straight. I showed you that in the tap out video. And, Theo's here is pretty straight. Goofy Vizsla has a very curved spine that's more relaxed. And this is just neutral, but sometimes that goes with a stiff dog. So look at the body language of these two dogs. Here's the younger dog throwing himself on the ground in a play bow in front of the older dog. And she looks pretty stiff, doesn't she? A lot of people are worried about her in this picture. Her tail is pretty high. Her body posture is pretty stiff. But she is about to start playing with him. And there are three things in this picture that are tells that will tell you that it's that she's about to crack. Can you see them? What are you seeing that that is soft about this dog? And again, look at the bitey end because they're all on the bitey end of the dog. They're all on her face. Tell me you haven't all fallen asleep. Yeah, so her ears are back and they're rotated a little bit. They're starting to become flirty. Her eyes are pretty almond shaped and squinty. And if you look at her mouth, it's pretty neutral. So she's about to start playing, although she looks pretty stiff and some people would be a lot of people are worried when they see this picture. This is, it's about to start playing. There's a very long question in the chat that I'll address after. So I'll show you a very different type of tail. This one is high and it's kind of flagging. A flagging tail is moving just a little bit. This dog's hackles are up, and we are assessing her with a stuffed dog, and she is not being friendly, although her tail is wagging.
Yeah. Heading up to what?
She's bloody. Try to get it to move, but don't hurt yourself. Don't get hurt.
No, I'll grab this.
So you see how that tail's just vibrating a little bit? That's a very concerning tail. I really worry about those. And there's questions about when to interrupt and when not to interrupt. And I've got a whole presentation on dog play that maybe we'll have to add to the series. But that's the high flagging tail. So let's see that again.
Yeah.
You see her tail's wagging, but she is not happy. Her ears are forward, her hackles are up. She's very, very stiff.
Try to get it to move, but don't hurt yourself. Don't
When the
get hurt.
dog, when the stuffed dog moves a little bit is when she attacks it. And she's doing a full layover grab shake. That's what fighting dogs do when they are trying to hurt another dog. So compare that tail. So this tail's also moving just a little bit, but it's a lot softer. Everything about this dog is soft, whereas everything about that previous dog was stiff.
He likes the little ones that feel like ticks.
You are so sweet. I know. Oh my
Wow.
Theodore.
That's a long stand on that hind leg. It must be feeling
I
better.
don't think we should probably really be doing that.
So the tail's just moving a little bit, but it's low. Everything about that dog is soft and relaxed. So, you know, wags are hard for people to read. A lot of people think the dog's wagging, that means they're happy, and it doesn't. The wagging tail means arousal. The harder and faster it's wagging, the more aroused the dog is. And it can be good arousal or it can be not good arousal. So here's a dog who is going to charge the front of the kennel wagging, but not in a friendly way. And what do you see in this face that tells you she's not going to be friendly with me? There's quite a few tells here already. Again, we're going to look at the bitey end, because the bitey end is saying different things than the waggy end, and this is where people get confused. Yeah, the puckered lips are definitely obvious there. The eyes, they're round. You're seeing a lot of the white. The pupils are blown, although there's a light behind me. I think she may be blind in her left eye, but her right eye, the pupil's still big. And there's a stare, yeah. So there's nothing about this dog that's saying, please interact with me, please be friends. Yeah, the lips are forward. That's that pucker I talked about. So let me play the video for you. The little wrinkles. But her tail's wagging, right? So nothing about the front end of that dog is saying, please come in and take me for a walk. She might have changed her mind. I was there in civilian clothes that day. I didn't have my bait bag on. I didn't have a leash. If I'd shown up with a leash and opened the door, she might have come out. This dog was friendly when she arrived at the shelter. And she'd just been there too long and she was starting to deteriorate. So Kenya had the best hackles of a dog I know. The fancy word for that is piloerection. This again means arousal. She is aroused about a squirrel that's out on the fence out there. And you'll notice when you see her tail, she's got a little piece of hackle in the middle of her tail, kind of like a shark's fin. And now that you know it exists, you're going to notice it on other dogs. But she had very, very thick hackles. People would say, oh, is she a Rhodesian Ridgeback when she was aroused? No, that's just her standing her hair up on her own. You see the little bump in the middle of her tail with the hackles. So she's wagging, but it's not a friendly wag. It's a desire to interact, but she would like to eat that squirrel. Another thing to pay attention to is hypersalivation. I'm sure you've seen this when dogs first come into the shelter. They're too stressed to even swallow their own saliva. It just dribbles out. And they'll also sometimes sweat from their paws. I had a golden retriever at the pet supply store the other day, which had a concrete floor. And she seems like a friendly golden retriever. She seemed like she was having an okay time. Her tail was still wagging, but her ears were back. And she, when I got up to move in line as the person ahead of me moved, I could see she left sweaty paw prints on the floor. So I'm like, oh, you are a lot more stressed than you are showing, because all 4 of her paws were sweating, and she left paw prints just like that on the floor in the pet food store. So the next time I went to the store, I took Theodore with her, so she felt a little better with her therapy dog. That helped a lot. So we're going to pay attention to where the dog's weight is. This dog's got the weight shifted back because this dog is tapping out and saying, oh my God, you're huge. I don't know how to play with a dog this big. And this dog's responding really nicely. She's shifting her weight back. And according to Crystal, after this little interaction, these dogs did play really nicely together. That was a nice piece of conversation between the 2 of them. Again, there's the neutral. This dog, like the weight shift can give you an idea where the dog's thinking of going next, whether they're thinking of retreating or they're thinking of charging forward. This guy's not thinking of going anywhere. He's just posing because he's like that. This guy is going to make the dog in front of him very muddy very soon. Everything's forward about him. He's about to charge over and pounce on somebody. And that's a pretty common, he's a herding mix. That's a pretty common thing for them to do. They've got that little crouch. So dogs who have short faces are a lot harder to read. This dog also doesn't have a tail. And my friend Erin adopted this bulldog after many years of pit bulls, who I find really easy to read. She found the bulldog harder to read because the face can't move as much, and she has no tail, and she's kind of got this little potato body. But she said she paid a lot of attention to the weight shifts. So you can see on this picture, she's sitting pretty neutrally. Her front legs are straight up and down. Her ears are forward. She's just hanging out by the pool. In this picture, everything's back. I don't know what she's worried about. You guys can see a little bit of a lip lick, I think, there. Or maybe it's just her mouth opening. But everything's back. The ears are back. The eyes are round. The eyes are squinty over here. So there's subtle things you could read even if the dog doesn't have a tail or doesn't have a normal shaped face. So watch this dog change. As soon as the man puts his hand on her, you will see her body language change, and you'll see a big weight shift back. The ears pop back. This is part of a behavior assessment, and she's like, this is the weirdest massage I've ever had. You can see everything about her. She just wants to get away from him. And she's polite. That's all she does is try to move away. The lip licks, ears flat back, the tail popped right under her body. And when he stops, watch her weight shift right here. Whoa, I'm going to move away from you. So lots of subtle things going on. She didn't actually do anything. She didn't bite him. But nothing about this says, I want to do that again. It's really important as shelter workers to understand the postures of pain as well. Really often when we see aggression in shelter dogs, it's because they're in pain. So being able to read these worried expressions, the closed mouth, the round eyes, the ears back, the hunched posture. This guy's actually bloating. He's having a gastrointestinal issue. Really important to be able to recognize lameness. I was a horse trainer before I was a dog trainer, so I'm pretty good with lameness. And this guy obviously was just neutered, so he's wearing his cone. So we're going to be a little more cautious with them after they've had surgery. Another thing to remember is the 3-second rule. So if I was going to meet that boxer who was paddling his paws in that first video, I would look at, I would still just pat him for a few seconds and then take away my attention and see if he asked for more. So consent is a thing. We need to get dogs' consent when we're interacting with them. They're not stuffed animals. You can't just do everything you want. And if you look at whether the dog wants more and only give them more attention if they're asking for it, you'll actually make the fearful ones fall for you faster. So I'm going to disobey the 3-second rule, and I want you to tell me this little interaction with this fearful dog. Look at how curled up she is. Everything is in with this dog. Tell me if I made her better or worse with the attention I'm giving her here. I'm breaking some rules. Don't do this. She's not asking for attention. I couldn't, you don't want to pet them on top of the head. I couldn't bring myself to do that to her, so I did bring my hand from underneath, which is less threatening. Let's see if I can soften her eyes a bit. So that was more than 3 seconds. You see the lip lick? And she stayed curled up. She did not ask for any more. So I don't think I made her any better with that interaction. And our goal with shelter dogs is to make them better every time we interact with them. So here's a great video from Instinct Dog Training, which has some awesome online classes as well. But here's a great video on greeting a dog. And what Sarah doesn't tell you in this video is that Moses is her personal dog. And you can see how differently he interacts with her when she greets him inappropriately versus appropriately.
When it comes to saying hello to a new canine friend, there are some things humans do that dogs find rude, uncomfortable, and downright scary. Let's review 5 big don'ts for greeting a new dog. Number 1, the hand. Sticking your hand in a dog's face invades their personal space. Notice how Moses turns his head away to avoid. Number 2, the lean over. Leaning over a dog is intimidating for them. See how Moses licks his lips and turns his head? That means he's uncomfortable. Number 3, the head pat. Getting thumped on the head is icky. For nervous dogs, an unknown hand reaching over the top of their head can be scary too. Number 4, the face hold. This super invasive greeting includes lots of eye contact at close range, and holding their face in both hands makes a dog feel like they can't move away. Number 5, the hug. This greeting behavior is also really invasive and scary for many dogs. It's full body restraint at very close quarters. The best case scenario with each of these 5 interactions is that a dog will tolerate but not enjoy them, like Moses. However, many dogs will show aggression, lunging, snapping, or biting to try and create some space for themselves and stop the uncomfortable interaction. And it's a totally understandable response. So please keep pups comfortable and keep yourself safe by following these low-stress greeting guidelines instead. Present yourself with your body slightly sideways. Invite the dog to approach if desired by presenting your open palms. Stay calm and quiet with a relaxed and happy expression on your face. Keep eye contact to a minimum. Gently pet the dog on their back or side. After 3 to 5 seconds, pause to see if the dog re-engages with you to request more petting. Following these simple guidelines gives dogs lots of choice and control over the greeting. They choose if they want to engage, and they choose when it's over. Remember, you should always get permission from the owner and the dog before saying hello. Happy greetings!
It's interesting how differently that dog interacts even with his own owner when she just changes up her body language. So we're going to try to make the dogs better every time we interact with them, and really respecting their space and letting them come to you can be really helpful.
She wants to go, man. Oh, yes, she can.
So this is somebody who's trying to interact with a street dog or a shop dog. And the person trying to interact is holding the camera, inviting the dog in, trying to be friendly. And is this dog paying any attention to the human? Watch what the dog's paying attention to. So I don't know if they do this in Singapore, but over here people teach their kids, you know, if you want to greet a dog, stick your hand in the dog's face. And there is nothing about this that makes dogs like you. It's a little bit invasive. You saw when she was doing that to Moses, he was like, you're being weird, you're looming, you're shooting a hand. When we get bitten, it's really often in the hands. Way better to invite the dog to you rather than to inflict yourself on this. But here's another reason you don't stick your hand in a dog's face, especially when they're giving you no friendly signals at all. But humans want to interact, so here we go.
It's okay. It's okay.
Nick?
Yeah.
What's the dog paying attention?
Hey. Hey. Oh. Oh.
So that's a redirected bite. The dog is concentrating on the other dog. We think there's something about our hand that's going to make that dog like us. And when they touched the dog whipped around and politely snapped. Kieran, that video is available on instinctdogtraining.com. They have a YouTube channel. They have an online school. Lots of great stuff on that channel. So here's the ladder of aggression. This is something that they often teach in aggression classes. So at the bottom, you've got the blinking, yawning, turning head away, all of those initial stress signals. And at the top, you've got growl, snap, bite. And often a dog will do them in order. They'll do the lower level ones before they go to the bite. But you saw in that last video, the dog did a little lip lick and then a bite. Dogs don't read this chart, and they can skip rungs on this ladder. So I'll show you another video where somebody gets bitten, and see if you can see the signals right before this bite. I've watched this video a lot, and I have a hard time telling that this dog is going to bite. It is the man saying, "Where's my dog?" And so it's clearly his dog, and he reaches his hand towards his own dog, and he gets bitten pretty badly. So I don't know if she's got like a dead animal somewhere that she's guarding. I have no idea about the context around this video. It's something Mike found online, but it really shows you like the ladder of aggression. You can find this online. It's kind of a good way to take the temperature of the dog, but they don't follow it in order.
Where my dog's at? Oh, there she is.
That's a really quick escalation. There's the hand and then the bite right away. The dog's not doing anything friendly. She's not inviting him in. And that's a bad bite. She's grabbing, she's shaking. There's multiple bites in that. So she skipped some rungs in the ladder. There's a little bit of tension, a little bit of whale eye maybe, but then right to a bite. So those types of dogs are pretty dangerous, the ones who don't give you a lot of warning. Sometimes they've had the warning punished out of them. So I'll show you a couple of fun things about body language now that I've traumatized you. I'm sure you've seen submissive grinners in your shelter. You really have to talk to your adopters, make sure they know that this is a friendly thing. This is not an aggressive grin. And if you look at the dog's eyes, like these eyes, if I covered up the bottom half of this dog's face, you see the squinty eyes, the ears back. These dogs are often wiggling and waggling with a curved spine, hitting themselves on the body with their tail like that boxer in the first video. But people get scared when they see teeth. I remember the first time I saw a submissive grin, I was like 11 years old, and I almost wet myself. The dog comes charging at me, showing all these teeth. But then I realized, getting to know her, she was at the stable I was riding at, and I got to know her and realized that was not aggressive. But often people will think this is aggression the first time they see it. And here's another cool thing that dogs do. I've only met a couple of these. It's pretty rare. Sometimes people think this might be a precursor to aggression because the dog really slows down when they're trancing. It's really often done underneath something that tickles the dog's back. And they used to think it was a seizure disorder. I've done a bunch of research online, and the general consensus now is it just feels good. So sometimes it's called ghost walking. And this dog is just enjoying the tickling of the leaves on their back. It's a very cool behavior, but unusual. Another behavior we've just learned about in recent years is that dogs can laugh. And it doesn't sound like our laughter, or we would have noticed it years before. It's kind of a throaty pant, just in the back of their throat. So I don't want you to think Solange is tormented every time she comes here. She's good friends with Theodore. Everybody loves Theodore. And you'll see her, you will hear her laughing in this video. She's It's just kind of a throaty pant. So if a dog's hot, they kind of pant in a rhythmic fashion. They're and it's the same beat every time. When they're laughing, it's not the same beat every time, and it'll be so you'll hear her doing that in this video. Very cute. So that's the beginning of a different presentation. So I think I am going to stop us there with the dog laughter. And I will see if there's some questions in the chat. If you have other questions that have popped up, I am happy to answer them. If not, I'm happy you made it. I hope you've learned some new things. And I will be back for a couple more presentations with you guys. So I'm going to see if I can stop the recording here.